Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thank you, Salim. Um, Actually, I think it's good that I came last because we had very good examples in terms of what Africa and a few countries have been able to achieve when leveraging actually technology. So, having said that, let me congratulate again UNDP for this timely and very good report on work for human development. Actually, I was reading last week that the world is now talking about industrialization 4.0, led by Germany. So it's really timely for us. So going back in a way to the presentation this morning and what you just said, Salim, about this report and the major findings, the five major findings of this report, and one of them being the dramatic change in the nature of work in terms of how, where, when, and who, actually, because here we are talking about skilled work when we are talking of digital revolution. And at the core of this transformation, globalization and digital revolution. So as you know, the report presents very well the opportunities, challenges, and risks. And I would like to cite some figures in the report in a way to contextualize and analyze the status of digital revolution and globalization in Africa. So regarding the speed of adoption and penetration of digital technologies, the report indicates that it took more than 50 years in the US before half of the population had a telephone. For cellular phones, it took 10 years. So you also said this morning, and the report highlights it, that by the end of this year, we are already in December, that the planet has about 7 billion mobile subscriptions and more than 3 billion internet users. So obviously, also the report also highlights that access to digital revolution is uneven across regions, sexes, age group, and the urban-rural divide. So in 2015, 81% of households in the developed world have access to internet, compared to only 34% in developing countries and 7% in LDCs. And we know that 80% of LDCs are in Africa. So I have a figure here that I just got, but I understand that now internet penetration it's about 20% in terms of Africa. So where do we stand? So starting with by the good news, in terms I would say of speed of adoption and penetration of digital technology, Africa has followed the same trajectory, if not better. Africa's performance in this area is very significant. In the last decade, from 2003 2014, the average annual growth in mobile cellular subscription was 33% compared to 17% globally. Over the same period, internet users per 100 inhabitants have grown much faster in Africa, 21.7%, compared to the rest of the world, which was about 10.2%. But I think we have to acknowledge also and recognize that we started at a very low base. So it is still, internet penetration is still very slow and lagging behind. So, however, it is also important to highlight, and we have heard from the previous speakers, that Africans have also been able to utilize the mobile technologies in a very unique ways and very innovative ways. And we are still actually learning a number of things from the speakers. So I'm not going back. We have heard about the mobile banking, the e-farming, and some countries have also started to introduce electronic classrooms. So, but all these achievements, in a way, they are still confined in specific countries, specific groups, specific field, and or specific groups of innovators. So they have not taken maybe a scale where, for example, where we see e-banking, where we have a number of other countries that have already adopted the famous program or software M-Pesa. Now, where are the challenges in terms of leveraging digital revolution for African integration? I think I would summarize them in about 5. So we have issues of infrastructure, both in terms of hard and soft infrastructure. And in hard and soft infrastructure, I will also include energy. And related to infrastructure is also the cost, the financing, and the fact that infrastructure in a number of countries are still actually infrastructure within. But in the context, the good news is that in the context of regional integration, there are a number of major projects that are taking place in different regional economic communities. So this is good news. There are issues of affordability and cost that are also linked to the issue of infrastructure in terms of hard and soft infrastructure. There's the major issue of digital literacy. And actually, digital literacy is also linked to the level of education, both in terms of the general knowledge, given the high level of illiteracy in some places, in some countries, but also in terms of IT skills. I think the continent is still lagging behind when it comes to science, technology, innovation. And a number of reports also highlight the fact that science and technology is still, I would say, not really the priority in terms of high-level education. This goes also with research and development. The link between science, technology, research, link with policies, and link with the market in terms of what the firms and business world needs. Then there is the issue of national and regional policies. So a number of ICT policies are national policies. Even the national policies are not yet at par with the regional requirements. It's the issue of convergence of policies at the regional or sub-regional levels that will help actually the continent to leverage digital revolution. Now, in terms of when we talk about integration of African countries in global value chains and expanding human capabilities, I think as we know, if we put it very simply, global value chains, they include all the people that are involved in the process of production of goods and services in different parts of the world or different continents. So this is about international sharing of production, and I think we had a very good example from the 8-year jobs. Now, having said that, it is important also to remember, and I think Carlos Lopez already said it, that African countries, they are already connected in the global value chains. However, their participation is mainly driven by forward linkages in raw materials with backward linkages, so indicating that processing of goods and value addition is very limited. So what do we know now? We know that based on comparative advantage, producers in different countries, they can actually specialize in a specific node of the chain. This allows for countries at lower levels of development to engage in the industrial activities without the need to develop the whole production chains. So this means that it could offer the opportunity to leapfrog in the industrialization process without the need to develop the whole chain, but also give the opportunities to a number of countries to access global markets. However, we also know that we still have a number of challenges related to the skills, to the knowledge, to accessibility, but also the level of the quality standard that sometimes that are set by the lead firm or the lead countries, even though they encourage the upgrading of skills and knowledge of a number of countries, it's not something that is automatic. this brings me back to what some of our the previous speakers were talking about in terms of investing in research and development, research in IT skills, in innovation, research and development, and this nexus of training, market, and government policies that actually enable this process to happen. Thank you.